We're glad to say that on Mondays, basically, we're trying to dedicate this to authors specifically. It's myself as well as the big homie Fidel Odell. It's been a very long week, a very hot and dusty week in the beautiful town of Ngwediva. I'm not complaining about the town, but maybe, I don't know, the town council can do something about the heat.
It's like, Fidel, what is happening in this town of yours?
Yeah,
man?
no. We need...
It felt as if it was your first time being in that place.
For that long.
For that long, yeah?
Yeah.
For the whole week. How was the whole experience, though?
It was good. I think people there are very loving.
Okay.
People there are very, very welcoming. But it's like it's such a business center space. You know what I'm saying? Like it's got serious innovation. There's such a, what do you call it? Like a symbiotic relationship between people and innovation. That's what I liked very much.
For real, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, we came out of the COVID as well. You know, the whole recovery process. People are coming back.
Yeah,
to the business.
I was told that this was one of the biggest ones. I think it had like over 418 exhibitors. That's a lot.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And then Friday, it just kind of seemed like people came to vote. The queue was that long.
On Friday.
Yeah, but
and I
you
can
know,
imagine on the last day now.
It's wild. But the fact, I think that we are dedicating Mondays to authorship, especially.
Yeah, you know, we actually realized that, you know, the Namibian writers and authors as well.
Yeah.
I think there is a need to provide them a platform where they could be able to use that platform to come and talk about their work, to come and talk about what they are intending on doing, and talk about what they've already done. You know, we have so many writers. When I was online and I was doing quite a lot of research, I've actually came across a lot of writers, you know, Namibian that have written books that we have never seen, never heard of, never read. And I don't know whether we're a reading culture.
Yeah, I think maybe I'd like to reiterate my point. The fact that I think there's like a, what do you call it? There's like an imposter syndrome that happens with us. Like, it is much more fascinating to say, I read the work of Chimamanda Adichie. I read the work of, I don't know, Robert Sharma. And that seems like, you know, it seems acceptable. As opposed to saying I read the work of somebody that is local. I don't know why, you know what I mean? I think we know the authors are there, we just have very less value for them, which is wild, because these authors also go out of their way to depict this work in the local languages.
I mean, when I came across this book, Counting My Blessings, and I saw the artwork and I'm like, wow, just the title itself. So that's why we then decided that every Monday, on National FM between 9 and 10.
Across the table.
It's a done deal. We're going to provide this platform. So if you know you're an author, you're a writer, you know, this is your platform. So we would want you to come in and talk about, you know, your books as well, certain chapters in your books. If you plan on writing something new. So tonight is a special night. You know, so that's why we just thought, you know, this is the first time that we're actually introducing this platform.
And you want to have the right person on the right platform.
Exactly.
As the first show.
Because I had to go out there and ask, you know, who can we get on the show? And it was not that easy. You know, thanks to Popiani Kawahwena. He told me the right person for that show is her. I was like, okay.
I won't lie. So I know Counting My Blessings. I've had the privilege to know A Letter to My Children.
Definitely.
I am ashamed to say Suffering in Silence. And we need... I think I might have seen this either on a status or it was on a Shuwambo song. I can't really recall. These two books I know, but Suffering in Silence, I didn't have the privilege to know. But anyway, who are we having in studio, bro?
When last did you read a local book, though?
When last? Yeah, I read a lot of anthologies because I'm a poet, you know what I mean? So I'm always reading work. Molaponga's got an anthology out. There's a guy called Prince K's got an anthology out. There's a lady called Rejoice. So anthology is basically a collection of poetry. So I read a lot of like local poetry because, I'm fascinated by Namibian stories. You know, so
She's the mother. She's an author, God-fearing woman who gains satisfaction from encouraging and inspiring others. And she's just not that. She's also into, you know, she's also a farmer, crop production farmer. And she has written numerous books that addresses everyday social issues people live with, and creating awareness and giving solutions they've needed through experiences. And at the same time, she's also an executive director for John and Penny. That's Laser Pty Limited. And that is now for about 28 years on the helm. And at the same time, Regent Business School Master of Business Administration, MBA, 2018. And NAST, Bachelor's Degree, Accounting and Finance. I'm not done.
Cool.
When we're talking about her being an author, she's also passionate about humanity.
Yeah.
And she strives to raise awareness about social events that occur in the communities and around the world as well, and those that impact people in various areas of their lives. And Miss Penny Endjala, welcome to National FM. Tonight, we want to focus more on authorship and as writer as well. We're also going to talk about in terms of the distribution of some of not just your work, but also in general, how Namibians could be able to get their work distributed, published, as well as to just branch out in terms of the demographic or the market outside the country.
Yeah.
But the main topic tonight is a letter to my children. I went through the introduction, and I was like, wow, this is like a story. And for you to understand the story, you have to read it from the beginning until the end. A letter to my children not only focuses more on specifically just your children, because you specify like this letter I'm writing to my daughter, this letter I'm writing to my son, this letter I'm writing to my grandson. I was like, so every letter is meant for somebody. But then for me that has a son, for me that has a daughter, I could also relate as well. I would like to read this book and see what is it that I can take out, that I could also have draft a little bit of words to my son or my daughter. Thank you once again for being here with us. It's a pleasure. How did you get into writing? Maybe let's start there.
Okay. Thank you, Franklin, and thank you, Fidel, for having me. And good evening to our listeners. I think I wanted to write for a long time, but I think I was not ready by then. But after 20 years, I actually write, because I think what the writer has a problem with is how to start.
Yes.
You probably have a story in your head, but how to start is a problem. So the first thing I did was having a topic. I wanted to getting a message across, how to raise and discipline children. That was my main thing. And then I wrote a topic, how to raise a child. I wrote half a page. Everything, all the idea are finished.
How to raise a child?
Yes. Okay. Then I wrote how to raise or to discipline a child. Again, a half page. Then I combine how to raise and discipline a child. Then 1 page. Then I pack everything. After 20 years, that's where my children finish university and start working. I think I was not ready then. Because how can I tell a person how to raise a child and I didn't finish the whole cycle? I think I was not ready. So when I start writing, other things comes in a way because I'm mature. I have different experience about life. So the first book which I wrote was We Need One Another in Life. It's a short story and they're all based on a real life stories. And a story that matters in our society. From inheritance, even though when I wrote it, I didn't know that I would be in a situation so soon. Because when you are in a relationship and in a marriage, your intention is to get all together. But I think God, in a way, was preparing me to what is coming without knowing, obviously. Yes, that's how I came about writing a book.
20 years later.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
But the idea was always there, correct?
The idea was always there. And I went to Radical Book actually to listen to Tate Angula and Jimbo talking about the authorship and how we start. And that question was raised. Yeah. How do we start? And he say, just start. Don't mind about the topic that will limit you. And that was my whole issues. Well, my whole problem was limiting myself because I was having a topic. So I start writing stories. By the end of each story, you will get a title of the story until you get the title of the book. it will just come naturally.
Did you feel that you had a need to write books at a time? Because you mentioned, I mean, in the introduction, that you were more appealing to the children. You wanted to write a message about how to raise and discipline a child. And then eventually you also then got into other contents. You also then got into other different stories. But do you think at a time that there was a need for you to start writing? Because some of us also maybe want to write, like you say, the starting is always it's always a problem. But do you need to have that hunger? Do you need to have that message in your mind that I need to put something on a pen and paper?
Yeah, I think it's just like writing is just like when you're starting a business. You can't start a business without an idea. And writing is the same thing. You should have that drive you to do that, and you must have a message that you want to pass across. And I think what made me want to write about children was I attend an event, and when we sit before the event as ladies, we start talking, and people start talking about the children. And there was a lady that time in her 50s. You know, when you are in the 30s or in the 20s, 50s, you thought is an old lady, an old person. And she was mentioning about her son, and she wanted the school to start so that she can send her son to the hostel, because at home he's eat up the meat, the rivals, the
he's finishing everything in the fridge.
Everything. Yeah. And when he come home, come from work, you thought you have a boerewors to cook, there's nothing. And he eat alone. Then I was telling myself, so the lady cannot discipline her child. She want now to
send him away.
Yeah.
The school to do her job.
To push her problem away to others.
Yeah.
So I was maybe there is a need to tell the people how to discipline the children. I raised 7 children, and no one can go in the fridge and take something that is not belong to him, or he cannot eat it alone.
Yeah.
He knows that I can eat fruits, I can eat bread, but just to cook the boerewors alone, I know it must be shared by the whole family. So it's a discipline to me that was lacking.
You wrote 2 books here, We Need One Another.
Yes.
And then also, You Need One Another in Life and Counting My Blessings.
Yes. And Suffering in Silence.
Suffering in Silence.
Yes.
Wow. How do you come up with these titles?
I think is the...
Like you say, you first write everything, so you don't really have...
Yeah, because it's like Suffering in Silence and We Need One Another in Life. It's short stories. So you group the stories that goes together, and you will come up with the topic. Because if you look at Suffering in Silence, they are all relate to one thing. We have people in community that are suffering without us knowing that we make them suffer. For instance, if I have to take one topic from Suffering in Silence, is when the person is married and they don't have children. From our forefathers, they believe that it's only a lady who is at fault if they don't have children, because they don't think that there's a man. Yes. So, and even now that we know better, we label our people in a different way, probably not the exact same way, but it's going to the same way. We make them suffer in silence. The way we look at them, the way we treat them. So there's things change, and we need also to change with time, because we have more understanding.
True.
Yeah.
I think one of the remarkable things here is the fact that I think you said all these books are translated in the local language, and obviously, or at least in the language, in the mode of communication that's yours. That's Oshuambo in this case.
Yes.
Obviously, because there's always going to be a variety. There's certain things culturally, and I think this is true of every African tribe and language.
Yeah.
There's certain things that are very specific to your culture, to your language, that we can't necessarily express in English. So maybe let's take a look at why why that was a necessity, because this is the first time I'm seeing in a local context that there's an English version, but there's also an Oshwambo one. Why was this necessary?
Okay, number one, it was necessary for me to express myself in my own language, in my mother tongue.
Yeah.
And then my father is still alive, and he cannot read her daughter's book in English. And I don't want somebody to translate it for him. So he must read her daughter's book in the language he understands. And number two, you also don't want to leave your countrymen behind. You want them to understand, because some of the things we all in the same boat.
Yeah. Because
they're social issues. And the first book is translated in 6 languages so far. It's English and Oshdonga, Afrikaans, Silozi, Rukwangali, and French. And when Franco Culture Center translate that book, they says, Penny, these things are not only in Namibia, it's everywhere. We came from France, and wherever we go with work, these are related. Wow. Don't even just say social issues are in Namibia. Yes. The same thing is happening. Because if you look up these chapters, inheritance, people are dying everywhere we are in the world. Yeah. So a lot of things are common. And if you look at the ungratefulness, chapter 2, we have people who don't, even you do 100 things that are okay for them or good for them, and you ungrateful. Do one which is wrong, they will count that one and forget about
all
did.
The good stuff.
Yes, children upbringing, we are multiplying. So again, it becomes one chapter only. And the last one is good friends. In society, a lot of things happening, but good people are scarce nowadays. But there is those who are good, and we must hold on to them. So it's just nice stories put in a context where you can understand and take you there, and also give you recommendation at the end of the story.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get at, because quite a lot of people must have read your books. You have written numerous books. And what type of feedback have you received from the readers or the reviews that you have got? Something that also inspired you or stood out?
Yeah, beautifully, a lot. You cannot imagine. These books were out in COVID times, and we only advertised them on social media, and you cannot imagine how these books were sold. I really can't thank the nation enough. They are relating. Some, for those who are just got married, the stories like for inheritance, they are learning a lot. Children upbringing, good friends, because it's a story of a combination of friends, married and unmarried, discussing issues and educating and, learning from each other. And one of my classmates read it. 2 of them, actually, they all get married, and they says, I think Mepeni were just waiting for us to get married, and this is a good gift for us, because it teach them from the beginning. So mistake that has been done, so they learn something out of it.
Because there are no new mistakes, I think.
Yeah, they have
that's
been
the
there.
idea. The mistakes have been there, and I think maybe even in the marital context, there's no new mistakes.
Yes.
It would be foolish to not learn from someone that has got that wealth of experience as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Counting my blessings, it's more on my life. And, whenever you attend transformation and leadership event or courses or personal growth, there's always stories, and those stories are sent stories. Either person was raped, an absent father, and all these things. Those stories are always told. But those who are privileged to come from a good families, so that we can teach our sons, other kids, that there is good fathers out there. Not everyone is the same. And sometimes you are blessed from your childhood. You didn't experience these things until the end, where you are now. We need also to tell those stories. And I think that's why I came up with counting my blessings.
Yeah.
Because looking at what I have achieved in life, my childhood, you go to school because there was means to send you to school. There was support, there was love. Until you get married, I was showered with love. God gave me children.
Yeah.
There is a lot of things people. Sometimes you get one, you didn't get another.
Yeah.
But to have all those things, it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
I think this book also here, it's wild that I opened at page 56. There's a story here about baby chicken and ice cream honey. Ice cream, yeah? And you said something here that I think is very anti-postmodernistic thinking here, right?
Yeah.
Something about dress code. And the last sentence he says, however, I complied with it and learned to respect my husband's orders and decisions. This blows my head off because this is not how we think now. And I think, and I want to speak on that issue because I think there are traditional things that really can speak to the success of any marriage. We can never outsmart or become too wise for the institution of marriage. What has that aspect generally taught you? Or at least how has that contributed to a healthier marriage, you think?
I think because I know why he was doing it, where the core, when we started our relationship and our marriage, he was working in Oraniemund. And being a naughty person himself, where I found him, you will read it in a book, where the way I found him and turning to a good man for me,
Wow.
a good husband for me.
Yeah.
There was certain things he has to learn from me, because you can't change a person, you can only change yourself.
Cool.
So he was very jealous, and I understand why. When you do things, sometimes you're afraid somebody will do it for you.
Yeah.
And if you start competing or you start doing the opposite, you are not going to help the situation. You make him more jealousy, and that jealousy can turn to something sour. But because I wanted, God gave me some wisdom that I'm happy with that, because I told myself, let me do what he wants for me to get what I want.
Can you repeat that? Let me do
what he wants.
What he wants.
I will get what I want. In time, I will get there. And I did get it. I get a good marriage that I wanted. I get a respect, and I wanted my man to understand me, and he did.
Wow.
Yeah, this is this is entire 2023. But I think with again, like you were saying earlier, because these issues are not exclusive to a specific tribe.
Yes.
These are issues that are universal across all. As long as you are a human being and you are in this social gathering, these are some of the issues that you're going to have to face.
Yes.
Do you perhaps then think that one can consider books like this, because we also don't have that big of a reading culture per se, and those people that then pick up a book or two are a bit more, they're a bit more into, say, international authors. Whereas while these topics are not exclusive to us, they also give a very local context.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you said, for example, Oshakati, I can relate because I've been there.
Yes.
But if somebody says Sydney or Perth, I've never been there. So what do you think then it would... This question, I need to phrase it in a very, very proper manner.
Yeah.
Because many people suffer out of a lack of knowledge. That's just what it is. They don't need to, but they're suffering because of a lack of knowledge.
Yes.
These books are translated. How then can we perhaps foster a culture that can move people to pick up material like this, to read and feed themselves for their sake, but also for those around them? Because we need more of this information, whether we want to believe it or not.
I think first aspect who we understand our nation, we should start at home, and also at our school. Our education should accommodate more of our local books.
Yeah.
And probably also make it as a habit at school to have more literatures so that kids can be interested in reading.
Local literature, maybe.
Yes, local literature.
What about the possibility of, because we know that languages are now part of the school curriculum.
Yeah.
And to what extent would these materials be made available, even at high school level, for kids that have a Shindonga, people that have a Shikwanyama? I mean, one of the gentlemen that you've got that I think proofread this material, and I'd like to just get his name correct, is Dr. Petrus Angola Benzi. And this gentleman, look, this guy is Oshuambo. First of all, he's speaking it, he's writing of the language. To have him proofread a book is top tier stuff, man. This is one of the best human beings in this country. I will not even lie.
Yeah.
What is perhaps, would it make sense that we call on government, and especially the education ministry, to to embed this material as part of their curriculum?
Yeah, that would be lovely. The National Library have book with our local books, because they always ask us to deposit 5 books. So if I have English and Oshdonga, so 5 Oshdonga books, and they send across the country. UNAM has my book at the library, all my books, except the last one, which I didn't take it to them. IUM has, NAMCOL has. So except NAST at the moment, because NAST you don't take them directly, you have to go through book then, which is something else, but that they choose to do that. But any other institution, NIED has them, and there was a call, I understand. They want local books, so that we should take especially the local languages. So I still have to do that because there was a call, and an author informed us to take our materials there.
Let's talk about A Letter to My Children. I think this is your last book that you wrote, because when I titled the topic today, The Letter to My Children, I think everybody knew that this is the latest book, because everybody said, no, wasn't this launched few weeks ago?
I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so it
I
looks
drove back from Mongodiva yesterday, and in Ndangwa I saw the billboard, and I was like, yeah, man, I was at that launch.
Serious?
Oh, yes.
A Letter to My Children. And here, Proverbs 30, verse 7 to 9. 2 things I ask of you, Lord. Do not refuse me before I die. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread.
Powerful statement.
Powerful.
Very beautiful. Don't give me money. Don't give me poverty. I just want that daily bread. This is from A Letter to My Children. I also just want to quote something that you wrote here. To you, Beata Nangula, my firstborn daughter and the eldest of all my children. I have named you after my sister Beata, the third born from my mother, who was named after Nangula, Beata Yamokuma, my paternal grandmother. Your name holds great significance as it takes legacy, grandmother, for without her, your mother would not be born.
In Oshwambo, they say, Simaneka nyokokuru, or Pandura nyokokuru, nyakuinavaru.
His names reflect a profound Oshivambo proverbs. Be grateful to your grandmother,
or else,
for without her, your mother would not be born. So this is a specific letter
to Beata.
Can you please take us through that?
Okay. I didn't write this book. My late husband, wrote it during 2020 and 2021. And he wanted to publish it on his 60th birthday. That was supposed to be June this year. And I just take it up on me to finalize and make sure it's done so I can fulfill his wish.
Wow.
So he wrote chapter 1 to 4. He wrote his message clearly, and he wanted to interview some of his few friends, and that's why we have the last part. We didn't make it as a chapter; we make it as an extra. So we just I just include his award or achievement that he got.
That's correct, yeah.
And also few friends and families, they contribute. It's a very nice things to read, because when I was reading this from his friends and families, I have mixed emotional feelings. One day I read and I cry my heart out. One day I will laugh because they spoke about him as he is. And then you start
and it's something that you could also remember, and you could reflect, and you were part of that as well.
Yeah. I just took a draft, corrected, get the things right. A lot of events I was part of his life. I knew and correcting them and get the editors and do the translation, because my book was also translated. I do it as it was mine. So get the design, get the date, get everything, and I choose this Bible verse because they are so powerful, and I also put them on his tombstone. It's so powerful. Sometimes you don't even think that is in the Bible. If you don't know the Bible, you might the person just took.
Yeah, no. Even when I saw it the first time, I'm like, okay, is this really a Bible verse?
Yeah, and the good, the interesting part is, he said when he was in hospital, he could see that the death was near, and he could see his parents, his friends who are gone before him, and he refused. And he make a joke that I don't want to leave my penny behind.
Wow.
But when he comes out, he asked about himself now. He was thinking that if I could have gone that time, what I didn't do on this earth? He asked himself. Then he said he remembered that he didn't write the letter to his children that he wanted to do for a long time. So he wrote it 2020, 2021. Early 22, when he's finished with his letter, he went to be with the Lord. So he was a blessed man because God gave him what he wanted. He gave him enough time to write. That's something that he think is the only thing he didn't accomplish in his life. He finished it and he go with peace.
Because when I was going through this book, the introduction, after you sent it to me, I was like, these are actual letters.
Yes.
Because he was specific to say this one is for my son.
Yes.
And he mentioned the son's name. He mentioned the daughter's name. He mentioned the grandparents.
He mentioned them all. That there's a letter for them. And he really tried to teach and educate his children about life in general. And he gave them a freedom and independent to make the right choice. As parents, we don't have the time to tell our children everything. Even you tell them something, after 5 years, you forgot about it. But and he specifically mentioned that this is the best gift he could give to his children. Nothing else he gave them, which is making sense or so rich like the book.
It's so interesting, Franklin, especially for me. I don't know about you, but I'm not a very good talker or in terms of speaking. But if I could write this to my son or my daughter, whatever I wanted to say, let me put it down and give it to her. Because like you've mentioned, some of the parents as well, we are trying to educate our children. But I think to sit with your daughter like this and tell her, my daughter, as much as I love you, this is right, this is wrong, and this is the kind of person that I would want you to be, even though you're going to make your own decisions and your own choices as you grow. But through life experience, this is where I came from and this is where I am now. So I think this is not just for your children or your late husband's children, but it's also for just any child, any family.
Yeah.
What do you think we could learn out of what you and your husband put together in this book, A Letter to My Children?
I think the important one, because he left them, our last born now is 29. So they are all facing adulthood. He specifically know that society perspective can send you to the grave, can send you to the psychiatric, can play around with your life or with your mind. He really told them that they should do what is right. What is right is what you don't want others to do to you. That is right. You should create your own happiness. You must not just think because the society is saying that I should stay in a abusive marriage. I must. He literally tells his children what to do. In this case, as long as you do it respectfully.
Yeah, because I mean, this is a testimony, or it's a reference. Yeah. If I'm getting out of line, I could always go back and see what is Daddy telling me.
Plus, the greatest stories on earth are always documented, right? Like, I think if you think of it, even in terms of like scripture, because that's a book. It's a book of stories. It's a combination of, it's a library of books. But if you think of it, like, if God be the case, why was it necessary for there to be a book? Because he must just come down and speak to you audibly. But there's something about a book, you see. The book is like it's like an album. It's like a reference. In fact, one of the beauties that I think, for me at least, has been, when I was younger, I would do these little cards, and my mom, for some reason, kept all those cards. And on every other birthday, she would send me what I wrote to her when I was like, I don't know, grade 4. And since grade 6, I've been journaling. But there's something about journaling, and I'm talking about consistently, that I'm able to go back annually and read my life. Because when I'm writing it every day, I can't see, because I'm here. It's called close to the elephant syndrome, because I'm right here. But if I go back to what I wrote, the book, at the end of the year, I take a diary, 365 pages, and then I read and I go, oh, that was a mistake. Oh, that I learned. Oh, I lost that person. And so at the end of it, you can create like an autobiography. Anybody can write. Everybody actually writes. If you think about it, everybody just writes. I think it's just that we don't all have the proclivity to put it in order.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was reading the history of Menangi Nashima, for example. Brilliant stuff. This woman was amazing. But there's limited information. Can you imagine if kids were taught the roots of music, they were taught the roots of culture through her? But unfortunately, nobody was there to document enough. But this is a testament, you see.
It is.
It's written to specific children, for all children, for children that didn't have fathers. Because I can still read this and go, yeah, this is with a father or without a father. I can still read that and relate and be taught.
Yeah, I mean, Penny, I wanted to ask, there is a current scenario now where it's a bit sensitive, but parents are bearing their own children.
Yeah.
And as we knew, it was the other way around. But now people are failing to answer that question. Why are so many young men, women taking their own lives? You know that your mother is supposed to be the one that you're supposed to take care of. What is it that we cannot figure out? If my father was still here and if he had a chance to put whatever he wanted to say, when I heard this story at his funeral, that your father was like this, and this is what he was saying about what he wanted you guys to be. He wanted you guys to be a businessman. He wanted you guys to start a family business. We're only hearing these things at his funeral. And we were like, is this what he wanted us to be? What if that was something that he would have left or written, for instance, that maybe we could always have a purpose, we could always have a meaning to say no. Irregardless of what is going on in my life, I might not have it all, but this is what my father want me to be. Let me at least respect his wishes.
I think things turn around. Okay, time changed. Things that were not happening before, it's happening now, because we had a community that help us all at the villages, at our parents. If my father is at work, mommy is at home. But now we are so busy. We are all working. We don't have time to be there for our children. Sometimes we don't know what is going through our children's life. For instance, in the book, the first book on children upbringing, I gave an example what we used to do. We all work, but every day at 7 o'clock we sit at a dinner table together with the children. I make sure that I'm there, and we discuss what is happening at school, in their lives. We put topics and we discuss, because that's the only time I have with them before I check their schoolwork, and they go to bed early so that they have enough sleep. Even if you eat your bread and whatever in the afternoon and you feel like your tummy is full, you should sit at the table, wait for us to finish, and we discuss.
Wow.
I think because there is no time to sit around the fire like we used to do at the village and discuss things, I think if we can just get to that time and know what is happening in our children's life, their friends, friends' parents, when something is wrong, we can advise. I think things will be better. A lot of children are on their own. Imagine you come from the north to Yunnan. You never been in this big city. You come and you got lost. You get a boyfriend. You get the wrong. Your parents are far away. When I did my accounting degree, I did it when my last born was in grade 8. So he was the one who helped me with the introduction to math for poly that time. What I discovered was our people just need motivation. I become like a parent to many, because sometimes I will literally sit with them, and when they fail the test, I say, I passed the test. You speak English better than me. I educated in the village.
Yes.
And you speak nice English.
Yeah.
I'm struggling, but I pass all the, because once I understand. I can apply my mind. But you understand what is going on. What is your problem? Because they makiti, there is no one to motivate them, and we find those who says, I'm the first in the family to go to university, which is a good thing. Then you start to encourage them. And there's a story of one lady who wrote about her journey with me when we met, and I used to motivate, and she's now a married lady, got her degree, she keep, even last month, last month she called me and just want to remind me again how I changed her life and so on. So people just need motivation. I don't know if the university has to put up also something that can motivate these children, because they are far from their parents. They are doing things. People are in university for 4 years, but they never pass even 1 year. So, and the parents doesn't know. I think that togetherness, which is not there anymore, that make people do anything.
Children are raising themselves.
And mental issues becoming a problem.
Yeah, maybe take us through. I think the process, because I'm looking at your books here, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
But I think there was also another issue, because I had a word with Popiane Kahuena regarding the distribution of Namibian books onto local shops as well, the distribution and the publishing process. Because I understand that it's sometimes very difficult to get your books not necessarily published, but to distribute, and people getting to be aware that you have this book out and where it's available.
Yeah.
And how has been the experience with you in terms of that distribution, publishing, marketing process?
Yeah. Publishing, it's a good thing because you do self-publishing. You source where you can get a good price because you do it yourself, not like the traditional publisher where you have to look for someone who can do everything for you, and at the end you only have a small percentage, even though you have sleepless nights to write the book and put it together. Distribution is a bit of problem. I think for me, an advantage is because you have a lot of people who know you in the community that make a difference, and I can also put it in my space, at my office in Windhoek, at our office in Oraniemond, at our office in Ondangwa, and tell the people that you
this
can
is
get
where the
it.
books are.
That make it easy, but it's not easy to put them in our local shop because they also asking for a higher percentage, which is you will get less
from your own work.
From your own work, and you give them the already finishing book
Product,
just to sell, to set in their shop. If it's not sell, I can even come and get it and sell it to somebody else. But I think that's really a problem. Mine, I have also friends overseas. When I told them that the book was available on Amazon, they really buy. And Amazon notifying you that you get your percentage and so on. So what I'm trying to do, I published the first book also in Swahili, because our East Africa, where they speak a lot of Swahili, and our people, I think when they translated, they even want to put it in the audio for their people in Ghana and so on. I think we just have to use all other platform on internet and get information how do other people market their book. That's what I always do. I do research, I do what I can do. What else? How can you add value to what you have already?
It's correct.
It's not easy, but yes, we can use our national radios. We can
definitely
use our NBC TV. Our newspapers. We can give them book for review, and they put it out there to let people know that's what we do. And we must now also prepare to give those copy out for free so that people can review our books.
That's right.
Yes, because we must not look at the money side at the beginning, because people doesn't know the book. Obviously, you will sit with your 100 books or your 1,000 book you print because no one knows it. Give it out, a few copies, and then make the money later. Even in a third year or fourth year, you never know. But first market it. Do what you can be able to do. You don't have to do the expensive way. Do what you can be able to afford.
Simple as that. I think as we round it off, obviously in the interest of time, really, what we're trying to foster here is a culture of Namibians that not only read, but they also consume local literature, because obviously that's important. That's one. And number two as well, it's especially there by distribution. I've never understood that. Distribution is like record label deals where how is it possible that a person, but again, that's the nature of business, I guess, you took you 20 years to write a book or to conceptualize an idea, only for the publisher to go, okay, well, you'll take 10% and I'll take the 90 and try and justify it. So we're saying perhaps what we need as well is Namibian-based publishers and distributors that are subsidized somehow, because in order for us to be able to get the word out there, the atmosphere must be conducive. All these industries, if you go abroad, they are regulated. Okay, so the guy in Europe, for example, he has got a much better chance for his stuff in their publishing houses as opposed to somebody from outside, whereas in Namibia it's not. You are local, but you are competing at the same level as somebody that's outside. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So, I think in conclusion, where can we get the hard copies, Penny?
Okay. My number is on the advert, and I can also give it to them. 081 365 1588. They can go to John and Penny's office in number 7, Judge JP Karwaihe Street in Windhoek, at Kamuti Guest House in Ondangwa, at KB Kanyemba in Oraniemund. I know that the Oraniemund people, Johnny has been there for a long time, and they want to buy the book.
Awesome. Quite interesting. Counting My Blessings, I think I need to get that one. A letter to my children as well. I need to get those ones as well. Miss Endjala, thank you so much for making time out to be with us on National FM. It should not be the last time as well. We would want to have you once again. Keep writing.
Thank you.
You know, you need to keep writing because we need to read more of your work.
And maybe the next time review one book per show.
Yeah.
Really go through it thoroughly. Explain the lessons in the book so that our people understand why.
True.
You see, owning a book is your first step to mental freedom.
Yeah,
honestly.
I want Franklin, before you cross off, I need to give one copy each so that you can ask a question what you need, and we give it to the listener.
Great. All right, is this one copy of Suffering in Silence, Counting My Blessings, letter to my children? And we need each other. Okay, great. So I will run that competition for this week. And so I'll put the questions out there, I think, a little bit later on the other side of 10. But what we are giving out these books, first of all, because we want to encourage local literature, all right? If you're going to win the book, win it and read it.
Yes.
Simple. Because we'll also contact you for follow-up. If you did not read it, we'll take the book back and give it to someone
who's going to read it.
But nonetheless, Penny, thank you so much for making time with us.
Yeah.